الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذا قيل لكم تفسحوا في المجالس يفسحوا لكم فانشزوا ينشز الله يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات والله بما تعملون خبير. Surah Mujadala. In Surah Mujadala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, of course, if you are in an environment together, then make room for everybody to come in. And if somebody asks you to get up, you stand up and talk. And if you have knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will raise his status if he has the knowledge. وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ دَرَجَاتٍ. Okay? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase his status. And you are of that character. And you are the people who impart knowledge. And this is the beauty of it. Teaching is the noblest of all professions. A teacher is a noble person, and the instrument he uses is also very noble. طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم ومسلمة. Acquisition of knowledge, acquiring knowledge is obligatory upon all the Muslims, male or female. Okay? So this is what you are doing, and I therefore congratulate you, and I say, Alhamdulillah, I wish I was part of this kulliyah of education. Quran is the most beautiful thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us, and there is no doubt about this. And Quran talks about book. Quran calls itself a book. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ. This is the book. لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. There is no doubt whatsoever in it. And why do you have to write books? Why do you have to have the Quran? Same reason. The reason why you have the Quran is the same reason why you are writing a book. هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. To guide those who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or who love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you guide them. That's the book. And there is no other book better than Quran to guide the muttaqin. Okay? To guide the muttaqin. And similarly, a teacher also writes a book, and the purpose of writing the book is to guide his or her students. To guide his or her students so that they can have light. The more books you write, the more lights they have. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves it. The only condition is that you do it for the sake of Allah, to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And kulliyah of education is the best in terms of acquisition of knowledge. This is where the talabul ilmu faridatan ala kulli muslimin wa muslimatin is applied. Okay, is people here in this kulliyah, they are trying to apply this to all, and this is their profession, this is their passion, hopefully, and they are doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so Islam requires that you do what you are good in doing. And of course, the best thing you can do is to write books, textbooks, because textbooks are the tools to train people. Tools to train people, and is much better than anything else that you want to talk about. So in this talk, in this thing, we are going to talk about writing textbooks, how to write textbooks, what to write, and what we should not do. You know, it's very scary for me to talk to all the lecturers and professors and associate professors and others, because you all know what I'm going to talk about. So I'm just a reminder, okay, a reminder to tell you what I'm going to talk to you about. One thing for sure, writing is most important in the life of academics. Okay? In the life of academics, but in the life of everyone, not only the academics, but everybody. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says everybody has to die. Okay, so everyone dies, but those who write, they don't die. Authors, they don't die. Please, if you have any questions or any objections to what I'm saying, please raise your hands, talk to me. I would love to be interacting, you know. It's very boring. Pandemic has created one thing for the teachers that makes them boring. I'm talking to my laptop. I'm not talking to you. I wish we were face to face and we can talk and we can enjoy our life. But here, it's one person talking, and everybody else is. So please remove that thing and try to talk, and let us talk gently and let's enjoy our thing. Okay, so what I'm saying is that everybody dies except authors. If you live, whether you die or you don't, your writings will remain, inshallah. Imam Al-Ghazali, rahimahullah, he used to write a lot. And people asked him, he said, what am I going to do? The only thing that would live is not me, but my writings. And you can see it now, everybody is reading Ihya Ulumuddin. Everybody, in every house you have Ihya Ulumuddin. Okay, that is how he survived. Even non-Muslims, you can look at it. Even you go to the Greek age, Plato, Aristotle, Socrates. Socrates didn't write anything, but Plato wrote on behalf of Socrates, in the name of Socrates, and Plato, Aristotle, all these people have survived. They are still living, and people still refer to them. It's long time ago they did it. They all died. They were vanished, but their writings survive, and therefore, if you want to help the society, help the civilization, help this life continue, then I think you should continue to write. And this is very important. I'm grateful to Center for CPD to invite me to talk about writing books, textbooks. I was here in CPD long time ago when it was first opened up. I was invited to give a talk, and I came in and I talked. I still remember the MC was a young man, good friend of mine now. He was the MC, and so I introduced him as the MC. And I said, MC means most cute. M, most, C, cute, most cute. And you are the most cutest person I have seen. And in Malay, I said, it's memang cantik. I said this and it registered into his mind. And the next thing I know was that he ended up taking a second wife. So it happened, but I'm here back to education, and I'm going to talk about writing textbooks. And in this session, today's session, inshallah, we will be talking about, I will introduce you to the preliminaries of writing a textbook. What are the preliminaries? What is it? What is a textbook? Is it the same as writing other books? Which one is better? Writing a textbook or writing an article? When I was doing my PhD, I was talking to my supervisor and I asked him the same question. I said, can I write a textbook? He said, you stupid. I said, sir. He said, yes. How can you talk about writing a textbook at this age? Finish your program, finish your PhD, start writing articles and books and others. And when you mature and when you think you have control over the subject matter that you are teaching, and I'm from political science, so when he said, when you think that you have some grasp of political science, then you can start writing about textbooks. Okay, so don't think about it now, start writing. So we started writing, and my passion is to write. I write a lot, and I publish. And to be honest with you, I am still interested in writing articles based upon research. I want to go to the field, collect the data, collect information, analyze them, write them, and disseminate. Alhamdulillah, I have been very happy in doing this, and whatever I write, I have succeeded in getting these published in reputable journals, inshallah. Okay, so we are going to talk about textbooks writing, but why should I talk about it? Am I qualified to talk about it? No, I don't think I'm qualified. I'm not an expert on the subject of writing and publishing books. However, I have done it successfully many times. I have written 4 textbooks so far. So far, I have written 4 textbooks, and I do not have the intention of writing another textbook, but I would like to continue writing the way I'm doing it now. Okay? So let's go and talk about it. There are many materials that students use. There are many things students use in order to learn. Okay? They use several means. Okay? They go to the online teaching, online learning, and they have so many different types of gadgets that they use, but the printing material still remains the most important thing in their life, and they would like to continue doing this. They want it. So textbook is the most important thing that they have, and the textbook plays the most important role in learning. Students learn a lot from textbooks, and the textbooks, therefore, are very important. But even though the textbooks form the core of universities' learning pedagogy, the quality has to be high level. You cannot compromise the quality of the textbook. Okay? You have to be very careful. You have to be very sure that in terms of quality, the textbook is most important, and we have to follow all the requirements of a textbook. But first of all, let's talk about textbook versus other books, the books that we write, the books based upon research, okay, or textbooks versus articles. There are 2 things that I would like to talk to you, and those 2 things are very important, and we have to be careful about it. Okay, and I have to talk about it. I cannot miss it. Okay, what's the difference between textbook and other books, or you call it academic books? Okay, number one, academic books are valued more than the textbooks. The main goal, the major objective of writing a textbook is to advance student learning. For students, it's not for others, okay? But the main book, the main reason of writing, the main reason of writing an academic book is to advance science, to advance science. Here, so you have two different goals, okay, two different audiences. One is the science that you want to improve, you want to do it, and the other one are the students that you want to produce those who would do the science. This is that we have to understand this. Which one do you want to emphasize? Do you want to go directly into producing science, or you want to go directly into producing those who would produce science? Okay? These are two different objectives, and we have to be very, very careful about it, and we have to choose accordingly. When you are writing academic books, you assume that those who are going to read your work, they are knowledgeable people. Okay, they are knowledgeable people. They have the basic knowledge of the subject. Perhaps they don't know the nitty-gritty detail, and that's why you are here. You are going to promote. You are going to give them those nitty-gritty details. So you are writing to an informed group of scholars. Okay, but when you are writing a textbook, you are not assuming that your readers, they have any knowledge about the subject. They have no knowledge of the subject, and therefore you have to give them the knowledge. Okay? Again, here the emphasis is different. When you are writing textbooks, your audience has no knowledge, and therefore you have to start from beginning to the end. You have to start from beginning to the end. But when you are writing academic books, or when you are writing an article, you know that those who are going to read, they are knowledgeable people. They have some knowledge about the subject, and therefore you don't have to repeat. You don't have to go to the beginning of it and then end it. No, what you have to do here, and still they do it, the purpose of literature review, okay, in scientific literature, in articles and books. The purpose of literature review is simply to just bring back some of the old things, that so and so has done this, so and so has done this, so you are trying to tell them that this has been done. But when it comes to writing the textbooks, nobody knows who the people who are going to read, they have absolutely no knowledge of it, and therefore you have to begin from the beginning. Okay? You have to begin from the beginning and finish the whole thing. The entire subject matter has to be covered. Who are the focus of your writings? If you are writing an academic books, the focus is on the professionals. The professionals will be reading your writings, your work. When you are writing your textbooks, the focus will be on both the professionals as well as the students. Why so? You need, of course, the purpose is to train the students, to teach the students what to do. But you are also addressing to the professionals. You are telling them, look, I have written a book, please read it, and I hope you will like it and you will promote it. You will let your students read it and you will promote it. So this is also very, very important and very major distinction between the two. The orientation of the reader. The orientation of your reader. the professionals, when you write academic books, you assume that your professionals, they are academically oriented people. They are academically oriented people. Articles, scientific articles, and academic books are written for those who are academically oriented, not meant for ordinary people. Okay, and it's also mostly not meant for people. Most people do not understand it. Some people, they suggest, oh, if you want to write in the newspapers. If you want to write in the magazines. If you want to write in things which people read. And somebody was arguing, when you write something in the newspaper, how many people read? Thousands, sometimes even millions of people read. Okay? But if you write an article, how many people read? Very few. Very few people would read. 100, 200, maybe 1,000 maximum. But the difference is there. However, newspaper articles are not based upon research. It's my thing. These are think pieces. What a scholar thinks, he writes. And these are short pieces on, most likely on the burning topics of the day. Okay? Not necessarily based upon research, based upon what I think it is. And therefore, I enjoy writing in the newspapers. People read it. Of course, they come to know me and they appreciate it. And but that is a different kind of recognition. The recognition I'm talking about is the scientific recognition. What you are doing is very, very important. Okay, the newspapers do not do this. Students are also not academically oriented. Students are not academically oriented. They are interested in learning, of course, but their interest is different. Their interest is to learn, sit for the exam, pass, and then get a job. Okay? These are two different categories of people that you are writing, and therefore you have to write differently. And you are writing not for professionals. You are writing for professionals as well as those who will never become professionals, those who will go somewhere else. Okay? Many of the students I taught in the university, I put my heart and soul in teaching them. I assumed that they would become scholars and they will start teaching in the universities and they will do what I'm doing. But to my utter surprise, I found that they graduated, they got jobs and they left. My children, I love them most. I train them, I groomed them up. I sent them to the best schools and then they came to UIA. All of them are UIA graduates. They came to UIA and I keep on telling them, come on, do masters, do PhD, and then join the teaching profession. You would be very happy with this one. But none of them finished their masters. The reason? This worldly interest. My interest is job. If I have a good job, I'm okay. If I don't have a job, people will not respect me, and therefore, what is it? If I have a degree, the degree is meant to get me a good job. If not, I am nobody. Another distinction when you are writing an academic book, what you are trying to do is you are trying to show to the people that you are creative. In terms of creativity, you are different from your competitors, or you are almost equal, okay? But when you are writing textbooks, you are telling them that you are good, you are a good teacher, different from other teachers. Writing textbooks is pedagogical. You are a good teacher, and therefore you write good books, and not everybody can write good books. So you are writing, and therefore you are doing. In terms of materials, when you are writing academic books or when you are writing articles, you are focusing on some topics, some stuff. You do not cover the things that others cover. Your focus is different. Okay, you are thinking about something, but when you are writing textbook, you are covering the same thing that everybody else has covered. Everybody else know much the same kind of things. They all know about. So if I am a political science student, I write textbook on political science, and I know all my colleagues in the department. They know the subject. They are better off, but students don't know, and therefore students have to do. But this makes me different. When I'm writing an article, no, I am covering the stuff that other staff members have covered, not covered so much. They do not cover. If I'm writing an article and if it has been covered by others, then publisher will not publish, or if they publish, people would laugh at you and people would tell you, why are you duplicating things? This is one of the reasons, again, for doing literature review. When you are writing an article or a book, they ask you that please do the literature review. What is the purpose of literature review? The literature review would tell you and tell others what has been covered and what has not been covered. If the topic, the subject that you are dealing with has been covered by others, then what is the purpose of duplicating it? There has to be a good reason why you are writing it, and it has to be different, either in terms of methodology, either in terms of subject that you are dealing with, either in terms of analysis or whatsoever. Must be different, otherwise you don't. But when it comes to textbooks, it has to be the same, and you have to cover much of the same stuff that everyone knows and everyone wants to cover. Saira, wassalam, thank you for coming. Okay. Let's go a little bit more. In ordinary books, you have tables and figures. Yes, definitely. All writings have tables and figures. But much less, you include only those tables and figures which are new, which nobody knows about it, which nobody is aware of it. Okay? And very scared, you don't use so many tables and so many figures because of space constraints, because of others. You don't use many. So you have to be very, very careful. You have to be selective what you are going to include. But when you are writing textbooks, you have to include as many tables and as many figures as you think students will know, will learn. Okay, the more you include it, the more you make it beautiful, the more people would try to read your book. Otherwise, they will not read. In the textbooks, you bring your personal achievements, your personal experiences. But when you are writing a scientific text, you do not include your personality in it. You are different, your personality is different, what you are writing is different. You do not bring yourself into the article. Okay, you are a dispassionate person. You are not attached to the topic you are doing, but you are doing it wholeheartedly so that we arrive at a conclusion. In the textbooks, I do it, I love it, and I'm part of it. Okay, I do it, I love it, and I'm part of it, and therefore I'm doing it. And when I'm writing a book, I claim that I'm a competent person. Otherwise, I cannot write. If I'm not competent, then why would I be writing it? No, I'm competent. But when I'm writing the textbook, I want my students to feel competent. So students, when they read my article, my book, okay, then they come to know about it. Then they say, oh, I know. So they start bragging about it. Say, hey, what is this topic? What does it say? It says this and this and this. Oh yeah, you know more than I do. Students, they brag among themselves. So textbook makes students feel competent. But when I'm writing scientific books or I'm writing articles, I'm telling the people, look, I know what I'm doing. I'm competent enough. Read this. Okay. If not, I will not be writing it. And this is very, very important. And we have to do it. There are some very important things about science and others, is that in terms of terminologies that you use, terms, okay, you have to define each and every term that you use in the textbook. Every term that you use has to be in the textbook and you have to define it. Very simple way, in a very lucid way, in an easy way to understand. Okay, you have to do that one. But when you are writing articles or books, you define only those terms which are very important. Okay, in technical language, you have when you are writing an article or a book, you have dependent variables. You have perhaps you have dependent variable, independent variables, and you have intervening variables. So you identify those variables and you define them, and you define them both ways, conceptually and operationally. Because this is what you use conceptually in order to understand, operationally in order to apply, to be able to count. So you use that one and you come up with something very useful. However, when you are writing textbooks, you have to be very, very careful. Every single term that you use, you have to be clear. Super clarity is one of the requirements of a textbook. And in the same sentence that the term is first introduced, you have to define it. You have to define it. Otherwise, students will have problem understanding it. What is the purpose of writing a textbook if you do not define the terms and if you ask students to go to the dictionary and find out the meaning of it? You write a textbook which is comprehensive enough and you tell them that, okay, they know. So this is the difference between academic books and textbooks. The major difference I have not emphasized, I have not talked about it, is that textbooks are based upon secondary sources. What other people have written, you read them, you know them, take from there, put it in what you are writing, based upon secondary sources. And therefore, many people would say, hey, textbook writing is so easy. You don't have to do research. Yes. Oh, you just take it from here, there, and then you put them together. Yes, that's true. But when you are doing academic book or when you are writing a research article, where is the information? The data is out there in the field. You have to go to the field, uncover the data, take it here. Nobody has seen it before. So you are bringing it for the first time. This is research. You go to the field. You go to the field, look for the material that you are looking for, and then you bring it out. That's why I always tell my students, those who are writing, those who are academically oriented, I tell them, I said, you want your articles to be published very easily? Yes, sir. Okay, how can you get your articles published very easily? Sir, it's very easy. how you write original articles. So what is original article? Article which nobody else can write. So how can I do that? Oh, very simple. You create data yourself. There are several ways of using the data. The data that you use in your article, where do you get the data? You work on the available data. Okay, you go to the library, you read books, and most of us do the same thing here. I have seen many of my colleagues. I also do the same thing. Go to the library, collect the information, whatever is in the library. These informations are available. You just take them out and then put new beautifully in tables and figures, and then you publish it. Okay, that is called available data. Okay. Uh, and I'm a professor. I always rely on available data. I want to write articles, so I go to the library, take books, and I'm a professor, so I have to write about 50. I have to read about 50 books and choose from those books what are the things that are available, and then I do it. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. Of course, sometimes it's useful, sometimes it's not, but available data is not very interesting. Does not make you unique. Does not make you unique. Another kind of data that we have is called making data. Making data. Making data is also available, but it is not available in a usable format. When you read a book, okay, they already have the data. You pick and choose from there and you use it. It's readily available. All you have to do is to take it and fit it together. All you have to do is to take the data from the books or from journals or others and then put it together. And then you say, aha, here is an article. Most of the journals, they accept it because they don't have many good articles. So if you are a good writer, if your language is good, your methodology is good, but you are still using available data, they would still publish it. They will not be very happy because it does not make them unique. You go for making data. When you are going for making data, you make data. Means the data is available, but the data is in a raw form. In a raw form. Say somebody has written his autobiography. In autobiography, he keeps on writing whatever he has done, he's this, that, etc. So you take that autobiography, read it, and try to make sense and pick and choose materials from there and give them a different shape. In available data, the shape is already there. All you have to do is to pick it up and put it. But here, the thing is there, the letters written by people, that's also a data. Okay, more or less, it's called content analysis. Okay, you take the material, analyze the data, and then you pick and choose whatever you get from there. Okay? Making data. Again, it is a good material. I'm not saying it's bad. Okay, writing articles based upon making data or content analysis is scientific, yes, but it does not make you unique. What makes you unique? What makes your article unique is if you create data. You have to create data. Data is not available anywhere. Full stop. Data is not available. What you have to do is to create the data. How do you create the data? That is where we come in. There are 2 or 3 methods of creating data. They talk about interviews. Okay? They talk about interviews. When you interview people, You ask him questions, he gives you the answer. It's unique. Nobody has done that one. And even if somebody else goes to the same person and asks the same question, uh, ask the same question, but you will get different kinds of answers, because the answer you get by interviewing people yourself, by interviewing your respondents, it's a unique data. No one else can get it. You alone got it and you use it. Okay? And you can use that one. That is, you have created a data, it's unique. Okay? Or mostly what people do, they distribute questionnaires. They distribute questionnaires and they get responses from the questionnaires. It's a unique data. Nobody else has done this. You are the only one who did it, and therefore you are writing a paper or a book based upon that data that you have created. That is unique. Nobody else can do it. Nobody else can do it. And therefore, if you want to get your articles published, create data and use it. Do not rely upon available data. Most of the time, don't. Of course, I'm not saying you should not do it at all. Yeah, do it sparingly, but emphasis is on creating data. The articles, the books that you write on the basis of created data will be easily accepted by any publisher, any journal, and they will publish it immediately. This is not the case when you write good articles based upon available data. Okay? So this is the beauty of doing scientific research. This is the beauty of relying upon creating data. But when you are writing textbook, you are not creating any data. You are not creating any data. You are relying exclusively upon available data. Upon available data. So you read what others have done, you read what materials are available, and then you give it a shape and you write a textbook. It's easy. A, B, C. A, available data. B, based on your experience. C, cumulative. Cumulative. A, B, C. That's what your textbook is about. Okay? Based upon available data, based upon your own, and it's cumulative data. You accumulate so many different data from different sources and put it all together. Put it all together. This makes it different. This makes it different. Therefore, people do not encourage that you should write textbooks. What is so special about writing textbooks? Nothing. Just write. Taking from it. It's easy. They say it's very easy. But when I tell you what it is and how to write it, then you will realize that it is not easy. Okay? So, and they say that textbook is not scientific. That's not true. Textbook is scientific, yes. But textbook relies upon available data. It is secondary sources. Your science-based articles, your articles and books based upon created data or made data, it's considered to be more scientific than the others. Okay? And therefore, the people go for it. You have so many thousands and thousands of journals waiting for your article based upon created data. Thousands and thousands. You don't have to pay. Only when you write something based upon available data, and when you don't know the methodology of writing, and then you write and you send it to a reputable journal, they will not publish. They will reject it. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, they will reject it, and they will give you the reasons why they are rejecting it. Unfortunately, what happens nowadays in most part of the Muslim world is that because we cannot get published in those reputable journals, we create our own journal and we charge people. You want to publish in my journal, you have to pay 2,000 ringgit. And there are many, many journals in UIA. They charge you. Every single time you send an article, they will say, sorry, sir, yes, we have accepted your article. How can you accept this article? So, no, we have accepted this article. Now you go and pay 2,000 ringgit and we will let you know when we are going to publish it. Minimum is 1,500. There is another university somewhere here. The minimum is 500. And people are willing to pay. I'm shocked and I'm surprised. Why would anybody spend his time or her time collecting data and writing data and then give it to publications and then they charge you and you have to pay for them? There was a time in IIUM, UIA or whatever you want to call it, in our university, there was a time when we used to get money for publishing. The university used to pay 2,000 ringgit to any scholar who publishes in Scopus journal. And we used to get 4,000 ringgit for any article published by our scholar in ISI journal. Not very far, okay, in the 90s. And in the early 20s, we used to get money. One year I made 25,000 ringgit just by writing and publishing articles in ISI journals. In other words, we have to have it. But if you write textbooks, and if you take one chapter from the textbook and give it to a journal, they will not publish. They will not publish. It's different. It's different. So textbooks are textbooks, chapters, and others, they do not get space in the journals. But articles based upon created data, they get easily published and you are appreciated by other scholars that, oh yeah, he has done it. I don't like ISI, I don't like Scopus or anything. But because ISI and Scopus, they are also money-making business. They are also money-making business. If you want your scholars from your university to be included, you have to pay. Okay? But scholars, ISI journals, they don't charge you. You write good articles, they publish. ISI. In my life, I have never paid a single cent for publishing my articles. Even nowadays also, when I write, even I send it to those journals where they ask for money, I tell them, sorry, I will not pay you. This is not for me. I have spent a lot of money writing this article. And they will say, no, Prof, it's okay, we are going to publish it without it. But again, I know why they are doing it. I asked one of the editors, why are you publishing my article? I didn't pay you. He said, at least people would know that many professors write in my journal. So it would increase the popularity of my journal, and therefore the younger generations will come and will submit, and we will get paid. We'll get article, we'll get money. But that is unfortunate part of it. Unfortunate part of it. Please, 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 I beg you, do not do that. Do not pay. Why should you pay? Why should you pay for publishing an article in a journal, whatever journal you are writing in? Write good articles based upon created data, send it to them, they will publish. You spend your time, you spend your energy, you spend your money in order to collect data. And after that, you suffer, suffer, suffer. You know that writing is a boring job, very lonely job, very tedious job. You have to leave this world in order to write articles, in order to do scientific articles. It's a very lonely job, very boring job, very tedious job. You suffer. You suffer a lot. And then after that, you created, you came up with an article, you sent it to them, and you have to pay again. That is unacceptable. Very unfortunate part of it. And therefore, please, there are thousands of journals, good journals, waiting for your articles. But articles have to be correct methodologically. The article has to be correct based upon data. The data, mostly the data has to be created data, not available data. And if you are using available data, then use the data which is not available to others. That is the interesting part. And if you can publish that article, even if one, be proud of that. Be proud of that, because nobody else can do it. You did it, and you are the best. And all of you can do that. And all of you have been doing it, inshallah. I'm very sure you have been doing it. But please, please, please do not pay. You pay only when you know you cannot publish anywhere else. I started 2 journals in this university, and I made it very, very clear in the first that I'm starting this journal. I have the support from the university authorities. The purpose of starting this journal is to train my colleagues in the art of writing scientific articles. In the art of writing scientific articles. And this is the purpose of it. Not because I don't want anything else, but people did not do it. They are using it so that they get recognition, they get promotions. Because promotions are based upon articles. Promotions are based upon articles. The more articles you have, the better, easier for you to get promoted. If you do not have articles, you don't get promoted. There are many of my colleagues in this university at this moment, many of my students in this university at this moment, they joined the university sometimes in 1998, 1999. Until today, they are assistant professors. The reason, they have not published. They do not want to publish. I don't know why. But then you should not join the university. The university, and then what? You come here, you just teach, and then you go away. What is the purpose of joining the university? So please, please do something and do right. Why am I telling you all these things? Why am I telling you all these things? I'm telling you these things because I want you not to write textbooks. If you are young, if you have joined the university, if you have finished your PhD just now, okay, please concentrate on writing articles and books based upon created data. Establish yourself. The more experienced you are, the better you are. You would understand your subject matter better. Once you have reached my age, then you can write textbooks because you know what is available in the field. In the textbooks, everything is covered, not one subject, not one topic. The textbook is not based upon particular topic that you are talking about. Textbook covers everything from the beginning. What is political science? What is sociology? Start from there. Sociology has been defined by so and so this. It has been defined by so and so this. From the Greek age, you go back. It started at the Greek age from Plato and Aristotle, etc., etc. And then you keep on writing. And then it has so many different areas. Talk about it. Okay, in political science, we have so many different disciplines. Okay, comparative politics, political thought, political methodology, okay, international relations, etc., etc. Same, psychology has this, education has this. Every single thing is covered under it. People say that if you want to cover all these areas, you must have experience. Keep on teaching, because every time you teach, you are teaching different subjects. The department gives you different subjects to teach. So you acquire some kind of expertise in those areas. And once you acquire expertise, then you can talk about doing it. Okay? So the textbook authors, they must motivate their readers to read onward. So if you are writing a textbook, you have to have a personal touch. You have to have personal touch with real life examples, real world examples of how the material in the text can be applied to everyday life. You can show them, okay, we are doing it. Elections, what is elections? Elections is this and this and this. Elections take place in Malaysia, okay? We have 2014 elections, we have 2015 elections. So you give them examples, okay, from there. We don't give them too many details. When we are talking to them about elections, okay, we tell them, yes, elections take place here and here. We have 2014 elections. Everybody is allowed to vote, only 21 years. Now they are struggling for 18 years. Children is 18 years, adults to vote, okay? And the voting is done. And when the voting is done, whoever wins the elections, whoever has the majority forms the government, full stop. But if you are writing an article, and I write articles on elections, I love it. I go into nitty-gritty details about elections. How it is conducted, who are the candidates, what type of candidates, what kind of materials are used, who is bribing who is not. All these nitty-gritty details are there. But when you are writing textbooks, you don't give them details, but you tell them about elections. So you do not provide too many details for this. Then you also talk about theories. Okay? You also talk about theories. Every discipline has theories. Every discipline has theorists. Okay, so you identify who are the theorists in your area, and you introduce them one by one, a little bit what they have done. Okay, again, we do not go into details. We just introduce them. We tell them who they are. We do not deeply evaluate theories and research with arcane points. So if you do this, then you are going to lose in interest of students. You are not writing textbooks. If you go deeper into it, then you are writing books. You are writing academic books, not others. Okay, and you also have to provide references. You have to balance between old reference and new references, okay? But this is not necessary for others, okay? So much for it. Therefore, my professor, my supervisor, he tells me, don't write textbooks. Wait until you mature. Younger people should not be interested, should not move into the area of writing textbooks. Let them acquire confidence, let them acquire experience, and then once they have covered many things. So if you have taught in the university, say for about 6, 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, yes, because during 10 years in the area, in the discipline, in the department that you are teaching, you have covered many topics, because not everybody is teaching the same subject. Okay, so they are teaching many subjects. So this semester you are teaching these 4 subjects. In another, you are teaching these 3 subjects, all within the discipline, within the department that you are in. So you are exposed to all the disciplines, with all the areas within the same discipline. And therefore you acquire knowledge. Once you have this one, 8, 10 years later, yes, you can bring them all together. You can bring them all together. I have seen many of my colleagues, younger colleagues, they finished PhD, and immediately after they finished PhD, they wrote textbooks. Nobody wants to read because it does not carry the weight. It does not carry the information which students would like to have. The professors, they read and they say, oh my God, there is nothing here. Why should I recommend this textbook to my colleagues for students to read? This is very, very unfortunate, and we should not be doing this. When you become a professor, yes, go ahead, write. And when you reach my age, it's the time for you to write textbooks, because research requires a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work. You have to go to the field, you have to work, and then you have to do it. Perhaps you don't have that energy anymore. So you sit down and write textbooks and write your memoirs and autobiographies. That is the time for you to write. It's, very recent, only yesterday I was promoted to a seasoned professor. How I was in my office and it was Zohar time. So I went to take wudu. I took off my watch from my hand and put it somewhere. I still don't know where I put it. Okay. And then I went and I made wudu. And on the way, while I was coming back, I was looking for my watch. Okay. I looked at all my pockets and everything. I did not find it. I thought I kept it in my office. So I went to the office and I was looking on my desk. It was not there. So I said, oh my God, what happened? And I love that watch because that watch was given to me by the university in celebration of my 25th year of my service in the university. So I got that watch. I appreciated it and I loved it very much. I was looking for it. I said, maybe I left it in the toilet. So I was about to go. And then I said, okay, let me recite Surah Wad-Duha, because if you lose something, it's better to read Surah Duha, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would help you. So I read Surah Duha. Immediately I finished Surah Duha. I put my hand on my left hand. I saw the watch was there. I said, it's already in my hand and I'm looking all over the world. Then I realized that I am a full professor, seasoned professor, absent-minded ones. Okay. So when you become a professor, please do write. But before that, try to prepare research articles, try to prepare articles books which are required, which people appreciate most, okay? One more thing I should tell you. When it comes to your promotions, textbooks don't count much. Don't count much. They look for points. They count your points. How many points do you have? If you are an assistant professor, you need so many points in order to become an associate professor. If you are an associate professor, you need to have so many points before you become a professor. And I don't remember now what are the points, but during my time, they used to give 3 points for each article, scientific article published in reputed journals, 3 points. Reputed journals means Scopus and ISI and other internationally reputed journals. And then academic books, they used to give 2 points, and for textbooks, they used to give 1 point only. So people were not very much interested in writing textbooks. The reason is very simple. So if you are looking for promotions also, you should go for academic books. You should go for articles, not for textbooks. Textbooks is counted much less in terms of your promotion. So if you're looking for promotion, go for articles rather than text. So if you publish 3 articles, you get 9 points. If you publish 1 textbook, you get 1 point. Yeah, so it's better that you go for articles. And all my life, I have been interested in articles only. Alhamdulillah, I have published over 200 articles, okay? And I'm happy that I have done that one. And only recently, for last 5 years, I have been asked to write, so I'm publishing books. Yeah? So now I'm writing books, editing books, and other things that I do most of the time. It is nowadays, it's mainly books because I'm asked to do, because I'm working in the rector's office and the university requires books, so I have to write books and books. But at this age, it's okay. At your age, no. You should go for articles and books. But we need textbooks. University thrives on textbooks. Remember this. University need textbooks. It's very, very important. Each department, each discipline must have textbooks. If you don't have it, then we are having problems. Therefore, universities require textbooks. In the 1990s, when this university was there, we were all talking about Islamization of knowledge. Islamization of knowledge. And there was full force to promote Islamization of knowledge. But very few scholars came up with 1 or 2 textbooks on Islamization of their respective disciplines. People did not write textbooks. But the authorities emphasized, please write textbooks, but then the textbooks did not count much for promotion, so people did not go for textbooks, they went for articles. And articles they write in their own areas that they are interested in. And therefore, Islamization of knowledge did not go much. Authorities are there. Still, even today, also, if you write articles and books on Islamization of knowledge, yes, there are some journals, not ISI, some journals promoted by IIIT and others, they are willing to publish your articles and your books. I think the IIIT here in Malaysia, they give you 10,000, I think, per book if you write on Islamization of knowledge or on areas related to it. And if you write textbooks on Islamization, related to Islamization of knowledge, they will, inshallah, publish it and you will be benefiting from it. Okay. Now, having said all these things, I must tell you that if you write textbooks, it goes into your CV and you will enjoy watching your book on your bookshelf. Articles you don't see. Articles you don't see. The books you see. And therefore, if it is on your bookshelf, you enjoy looking at it. And it goes into your CV also. Okay? And CVs, I have seen books, one particular section called books, and then you put your books there, articles in the journals, articles, chapters in books, etc., etc. So the books go first. And so if the book is there, you will enjoy looking at it. You will say, aha, I have written something which I can see and you could be proud of it. Of course, your CV will carry it and it makes your CV looks good. And it also demonstrates commitment. It demonstrates a commitment to a particular specialist area. And most importantly, it shows commitment to education. Whatever area you are in, textbook, if you have written, shows that you are committed to that area, etc., etc. And of course, it improves your writing skills, writing techniques, because textbook will force you to do things which others will not do. Yeah? So you have to learn things. Textbooks are easy to transfer your skills. Okay, you are working on a deadline, so it will help you to do these kind of things. It will distribute your workload. If you don't have a textbook, then you have to go here, there, looking for it. But if you have a textbook, everything is in front of you. You can help this way. And textbook also is a good way of passing what you have learned, good teaching you have received, and therefore you transfer those things to others. What else I should say? Yes. Textbooks gives you money. Articles you write, you pay. Academics books you write, you don't pay. But they are published, academic books. Textbooks you write, you get paid. You get money. This is very interesting. If you are money-minded, go for textbooks. Okay? But the textbook must be of the character, of the quality which people would read, which people would recommend. And textbook makes you famous. I remember I was invited as an external examiner to Sarawak, and I went there, and I was looking for the office of the director, office of the head of department, where I'm supposed to examine the student. So I went to somebody. There was somebody sitting on the desk, and I said, "Where is that office?" So one lady got up, and then said, "Yes, sir, I will take you there." And then another person was there. He said, "Hey, sister, come here, come here." What? He is the one who wrote that textbook that we are using, Introduction to Political Science. He is the one. Please take him, take him, take him. So they know me, even though they have never seen me. They know me by the book I have. And I get every year money, royalty back, every year, depending upon how many books have been sold. And Alhamdulillah, every year, my textbook, about 2,000 textbooks are sold every year. And I get money every year. They give me the full account of what it is. I wrote an article, a textbook by Macmillan, and that was, I wrote it in 1996. And until today, I'm getting money from it because it went through 3 editions. I'm still getting money. Every year they would send me. So I get, in the beginning, I used to get 2,000 pounds. Okay. Now it's much less because I refused to edit again. They wanted an updated edition. They wanted me to rewrite. I said, no, I don't have the time to work on the old book. I want to write something new. So I refused. So now the book is almost out of stock. So I get much rest, but I still get royalty, sometimes 200 pounds, sometimes 100 pounds. But I get it for textbooks published in Malaysia. I get every year, I get royalty and I get money. So Alhamdulillah, it's a good thing to do. My textbook Introduction to Political Science. I think it is in the 7th or 8th edition, about 12 years, 14 years now. So that is good and people like it. And therefore, you want to make money also, textbook is the best thing. So textbooks, even though it does not count much, it does count, but it does not count much for your promotion. You still get, it still goes into your CV. People still recognize you for writing the textbook, and you get money for writing it on a yearly basis. On a yearly basis. You don't get it. If you write academic books, of course, for 1 year, it goes in not much of money you get back on a yearly. Royalty is not very high, and books don't sell much because it's only the experts or the specialists in that area who read it. Otherwise, it doesn't count much. Is there any question that you would like to ask? Please, you feel free to please ask. I have no problem answering your questions. Please ask if you want. Okay, I'm a very good person to talk to. How to deal with the publisher? Wow. I think we will talk about it later. It's very difficult to deal with publisher. I will talk about it, how to deal with publisher. But first of all, how to deal with you. That is the most important part of it. Okay, Prof, thank you. Zina, inshallah, I will answer your question. If I don't, remind me. And I will definitely answer your question, how to deal with publishers. Okay, but first of all, let's define what is a textbook. I told you before, textbook is the most important thing that the university needs. You see, this is the tragedy of textbook itself. How can you talk about a university without a textbook? That is the most important part. How can you run a department if you don't have a textbook? The university requires it. The university requires it seriously. Okay. It is the core, C-O-R-E, core of universities' learning pedagogy. It is essential. There is a Chinese proverb which says that if I hear, I forget. And I asked one professor, I said, how come? He said, Allah has given you 2 ears. You hear from one and it takes out from the other one. It doesn't stay for long. So if I hear, the Chinese proverb says, if I hear, I forget it. Okay, son. Then if I see, I remember. If I forget, if I hear, I forget. If I see, I remember. If I do it, I understand. If I do it, I understand. So when you have a textbook, okay, your textbook does 3 things. In the university, in the department. The university, when you have a textbook, the teacher goes to the classroom and he delivers lectures based upon the textbook. Remember, to deliver a lecture based upon the textbook must be good. Okay? So that students hear what the teacher is saying. Okay? But they will forget it if you do not do so. They are asked to look at the textbook. See, today I'm going to discuss with you this topic, this chapter. Do you have your textbooks? Please have a look at it, okay? If not, I'm going to give you the page number so and so, okay? You will go and read and then come back. Okay? I have seen one lecturer, he would come to the classroom and he would say, okay, today we are going to talk about chapter 3. You have not read it, I know. I'm going to tell you what chapter 3 is all about. You go back home. Next week when you come back, please summarize chapter 3 for me and come back and give it to me. That is your assignment. So you hear what the teacher says. You see the book that you have it, and then you do it so that you understand it. Doing it is to make you understand. Listening it, you will forget. So you see it, you will remember. That's what the Chinese proverb says. And this is what the textbooks do in the university. And therefore, university, it's the core. Textbook is the most important thing in the university. Every single department must have a textbook. Go and find out in this university, you will not find many textbooks. Many departments do not have any textbooks. Why? Because nobody has emphasized that textbook purpose, or because they wrote something which is not easily available. Okay? Textbook is a prescribed book. You have to prescribe it for your students. The textbook is called a teacher in print. So when the student is reading the textbook, he sees his teacher there. And my teacher used to tell me, son, don't go to library to read books. Prof, library is full of books. I have to read books. So he said, no, don't go to library to read books. I said, then what should I do? And I went to UIA library and I found many students sleeping on the desk. Why are you sleeping here? Prof, ada aircon here. Yeah. In their room, there is no aircon. Library is not a place to sleep. Library is not a place to gossip. And library is also not a place to read. Can you imagine this? So I said, sir, what should I do? You go to the library to talk. But don't talk loudly. Talk in your heart. Talk in your mind. When you take a book, you are not taking a book. You are taking a person. So library houses millions of people. Each book is a person. And therefore, when you pick up the book, you don't ask, you don't read the book, you ask the person, what is the meaning of this? So, what is political science? And then the person will tell you, political science is the study of who gets what, when, and how. Is a study of authoritative allocation of values. Oh, it is the authoritative. Let me write it down. Okay? So you write it down. You talk, you hear, you remember, and then you understand. Then you write it down. The more you teach, the more you learn. So when you write it down, that is what you are learning is more important. That is why when the Quran was revealed, what was the first thing revealed? Iqra. Read. Read. That's what the Quran says. Read. Okay? But the Prophet ﷺ said, I don't know how to read. I have never read. It's not my job. I never. Read. In the name of your Lord. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Who created everything. And he said, no, I don't know how to read. And then Allah says, Iqra, read. Your Lord is very merciful. Rabbukal akram. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you knowledge. Alladhi allama Knowledge with what? With pen, bil qalam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you knowledge with pen. And he teaches you what you did not know. Only when you have the pen, then you will remember. About last month somewhere, I was praying Isha in a mosque, and there were two teachers. They know me. They realized that I am. So they came to me after Isha, and I said, Prof, we want to ask a question. I said, yes, what is it? Prof, students, we give them handouts, we give them slides, they read. That's enough, isn't it, to learn? I said, no. Allama bil qalam. Huh? Allama bil qalam. I said, yes, make them write. Okay, not only read, but make them write. And nowadays, let them use the laptop. Okay, not to play games, but to write down what they are reading. So once you write down, you write, you remember. It goes into it. And this is scientifically proven. This is scientifically proven. That's why Quran again says, "Inna sam'a wal basara wal fu'ad." You know, all those things they will give you evidence. But it is the qalb, it's the heart. So once you see, it goes to your mind. From the mind, if you keep on doing it and if you write everything, you will be repeating it, then it goes into your heart. Once it goes into your heart, you remember it forever. And therefore, qalam is very important. Allama bil qalam. And this is what the textbook does. Okay? When the textbook comes in, you write. Of course, when you are writing it, you learn a lot more than others. Students, ask them to do it. And that's why the Chinese proverb is very, very important, that when I hear, I forget. I see, I remember. I do, I understand. So make the students do. So that's why it's called textbook is a teacher in print. It's a teacher in print. It's a standard work for the study of a particular subject. It's a standard work for the study of a particular subject. And it's a tool for both the teacher and the student. Okay? If you have a good textbook, the teacher can divide his lectures. Okay, 14 weeks. Okay, in 14 weeks I will cover these topics. These are the topics, and then you accordingly, every time you go there, you are ready. So this is your tool. I'm going to talk about this. Students also know this. Okay, I'm going to do this one, do this one, do this one. Okay. And textbook is designed for a use in the classroom. Okay, you will use it in the classroom. It is, we assume and we hope that it is carefully prepared by experts, those who know the subject matter better than others in the field, and they know what is good and what is not good. Textbooks must be very friendly to those who read. It must be easy to read and understand. Okay, we'll talk more about it later on. But it has to be done, and I will talk more about it. It has to be interactive, it has to be interesting, it has to be engaging, it has to be accurate, it has to be relevant. Okay, all these things are very, very important, and we will talk more about it. Okay, a good textbook, therefore, is a good source of knowledge. A textbook is a guide. It will guide you, and it's an instruction to the students. And it's a learning instrument used by students and the staff itself who are teaching it. So this is all about textbooks. Can we take a break for 15 minutes and then we'll come back? This is exactly, what time is it? It's 10:30. Okay, so we'll meet at 10:45. Is it okay with all of you? Please raise your hands. Good, good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Wow. Everybody is saying yes. Nobody wants to listen to this lousy lecture, isn't it? Thank you very much. We'll meet at 10:45. Okay, inshallah. Do I have to mute it? Unmute. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam.
Good. I want to get my prayers back. I only pray you and you don't pray me back. Thank you very much, Dr. Sadiq. Others, I hope you have already given me my walaikum back. Okay. We were talking about textbooks. Thank you very much. We were talking about textbooks. And please, one thing that I would ask you to do, please write. I'm not asking you to write textbooks, but I want you to write texts, write books, write articles. Writing should be, for me personally, I'm telling you, writing is a passion. How I developed it, I don't know. I started writing when I was doing my A-level exams. Okay? When I was preparing for A-level, I wrote magazine article stories in the magazines and others. And then when I was in the first year, I wrote some articles in the newspapers, and they were all published, and I was encouraged. Every time I write, they publish, and I get encouraged, and I keep on writing. Now, I cannot enjoy my life if I don't write. Okay? It's a passion. It's not a profession. I don't write for promotions, or I don't have anything of this nature, but I write because I love to write. And there is no substitute for this. Okay, those who write just for the sake of promotions, they write just for that purpose. Okay, and therefore there is not much life in that kind of writing. I am very grateful to my teachers. They always encouraged me to write, and always looked at my writings and gave me advice on how to improve it. And whenever there were opportunities, he would call me and say, aha, Rashid, I have been invited to write this. Would you like to write on this topic? I say, yes. And then he'd say, go ahead, write. And then he would advise me and he would supervise me to do it. Okay. And in this way, we came to do this. Okay. So writing is very important. Please write. And even if you want, you can write textbooks. If you spend some time, if you have interest, you can write textbooks. Textbooks helps you beginning teachers. The materials to be covered and the design of each lesson are very well carefully spelled out in detail. And this is the most important advantage of having textbooks. Textbooks provides you organized units of work, plans and lessons that you want to cover, topic in some details. It provides you a balanced chronological presentation of information that you would like to have, and it's an excellent teaching aids. And therefore, I would recommend that you write textbooks. However, I would warn you, textbook is not designed as a sole source of information. This is very, very important. It is not the only source of information that you want. If you emphasize only one source, only textbook, then students will not see other perspectives. Okay, there are many things that you should do on a concept or issue. If you emphasize only that part, then it will not do. Therefore, what you should do is to provide students with lots of information, sources. Okay, give them books, give them references here and there, CD-ROMs and others. You give them whatever you can, but the emphasis should be on the textbook so that you are not carried away by it. So this is the weakness of it, that these teachers, they just simply rely upon textbook and nothing else. Teachers over-rely on textbooks and they don't consider other aids or other materials for the classroom. Okay, and therefore they should do something more and go to others. textbooks should not be old, should not be outdated, okay? Therefore, my publisher every 2 years would ask me to update. Every 2 years they would come and beg, please, Prof, update. We want to come up with a new edition. Update means I have to rework on the whole thing, okay? So that we supplement information with others and update information. So for example, in 1994, I have a textbook on Malaysian politics and government. Every 5 years, the sultans change, their wives change. So we have to change their pictures. Okay? And the prime ministers change, so we have to change prime minister's pictures. The elections come in every 5 years. So one election is gone, so I have to rewrite about the new election coming in and etc. Not in detail, but I have to do these ones. So all those informations have to be updated. We cannot keep it outdated. Students, the information that we share with the students must be current and it must be relevant. That is the most important thing. And therefore, we say that use textbooks. Textbooks have to be current, up to date, but also supplement with other materials, which is good, which is a good idea to do. Textbooks must also have questions for students to answer. Learning is not simply a question of accumulating, collecting facts and figures. They have to understand it. In order to understand, you have to ask questions. And the questions must be of a little bit higher level questions, and therefore they should be taken care of it. Reading levels of students also must be taken into consideration. The most important thing that I would like to tell you is that you must not use textbooks wrongly, okay? Read it sparingly and use it very wisely as much as you can. Okay, now we are going into the textbooks quality, okay? We go into the quality of the textbooks. And the quality of a textbooks must support curriculum, must support the design that you are talking about, the syllabus that you have, okay? And it must arouse the interest of students. I have seen many students passing by. I have seen some books. They have some textbooks and the students are sharing the textbook. Hey, look at this picture. This is so beautiful picture, you know. This one is from here. This one is from there. And this is what I said, oh my God, this is a very successful textbook. The students are even looking at the tables and figures and telling each other that this is something very good and we should do it. Textbooks, when you are writing textbooks, you must look at 4 things or 5 things. You must look at the contents. You must look at the learning and teaching experience. You must look at the structure and organization of the textbook. What else? You must look at the language, very important. And of course, the layout of the textbook is also very, very important. When we are talking about the contents, it must include aims and other things, targets, objectives. All these things must be aligned together. This is the content. Make sure that all of these things are included. Okay. Make sure that the learning targets that you have of the course are addressed properly in the textbook itself. The content must be current. Okay, information and data that you have must be accurate. Make sure that it is an accurate data and it is relevant. It's relevant. You are talking about election, you don't talk about something else which is not related. So you just concentrate on the topic that you are talking about, and the content has to be current, very current topic. And if it's an old, outdated, then there is nothing. Make sure that where did you get the information? Okay, we'll talk more about it later, but it is very, very important. The concepts that you use, we are all talking about the content. The concept you are using, are these correct? Are these precise? If not, then we will have a problem. Students will have problem. You have to provide enough examples, enough illustrations. Okay? Otherwise, students will be bored. If they just simply read, they would not like to read too much. Okay? So we have to be careful about all those things. You should also provide reading list. These are all talking about the contents. You should go to related websites. Go there. It all has to be included. And of course, you have to have an index. I have not seen many people in this part of the university, in this part of the world, putting much emphasis on index. I am directly in touch with the IIUM Press here, and I'm also in touch with here we have Thomson Reuters and Cengage Publishers. I'm in touch with all these people, and I see that the manuscripts, when they come in without any index. Okay, an index is prepared by the press. So the press people give somebody 300 ringgit, 500 ringgit, prepare an index. And index is prepared not by the person who is writing the paper, who is writing the book. It's prepared by somebody working in the press, and they are paid, so they prepare it. And the press people, they know there has to be an index, so somehow they want an index and they put it. But index, we have to be very, very careful. Okay, let me go to the last part, to the index. Okay, index must be comprehensive. Index must be comprehensive. It must carry all the concepts, yes, but it must carry all the topics. Okay, it must carry reference to all the information that the book contains. And this one, nobody can do it except the person who is writing it. If you have written the textbook, you know what is important and what is not important. You cannot leave it to somebody working in the press to prepare the index. So I always prepare my own index. I don't give it to the press people to prepare it. I prepare the index, and then they type it, and then they show it to me, including the page numbers and others. Of course, page numbers will come only after they have finished, when they have come up with the dummy. Before the final copy, they prepare the copy for you to see. That's where the page numbers come in, and the chapters and other things comes in. But index has to be prepared. Okay, index is not simply the title of the items, also the sub-items. So you have a topic, say sustainable development. Okay, nowadays very famous, sustainable development. So it's not enough. Sustainable development is, of course, you have covered. So they put sustainable development, tongue number, page number, so many page numbers it appear. Okay, yes. But under sustainable development, what are the things you have talked about? So definition, under sustainable development, definition, the goals separately, definitions, sustainable development activities, sustainable development types. All these things will come under sustainable development, and you alone can do that one. Nobody else can. Okay? So you have to be very careful. You have to prepare the index yourself. Please do that one. Don't leave it for others. I have not seen many manuscripts coming with index. So the publishers and the press, they ask you that please provide index, but they will not provide the page numbers. So you provide index, what kind of things, they will find out the page numbers and they will put it accordingly. Okay, so please pay extensive attention to the index, and without index your book is complete, because students and the experts, those who would like to know what your book is, then they would look at the index first, and they would like to look at the index, and then they will go to the page number where it is provided, so that it makes it easier for them to listen. The textbooks must connect to students' prior knowledge. Okay, we are talking about, okay, new contents, reflect on what has been learned, and transfer knowledge to from here to other places, etc., etc. There has to be very clear instructions, okay, what you should do, what you will not do, etc., etc. And you have to encourage them for critical and creative thinking. How do you encourage them for critical and creative thinking? This is the question which are most difficult to answer. Therefore, what happens is that in the textbook, you provide open-ended questions. Okay? You provide open-ended questions and you give them further readings. Ask questions, different types of questions. Remember the how, why, what, when, and where. All those questions must be there. Rudyard Kipling, I think he said it, that I wear 6 kind of hats: what, when, how, where, etc., and when. Okay, so questions should be along that line, and use the Bloomberg taxonomy. You know, they give you from low to the high level of creative thinking, the words that you would use, the terminologies you use when you are asking questions. It's very, very important that we ask those things, okay? So in terms of learning and teaching also, you have to do these things. Sequence, also you have to be taking care of the sequence in terms of structure and organization. Okay? It has to be very, very clear. So you have to have the sequence. It has to be appropriate and logical. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. From where you go to where you go to where. You don't just bring in here and there. It cannot be mixed up there. So keywords must be identified and must be highlighted. I have seen many, many textbooks where they prepare Can we get any material from you to support our notes? Beso. I will try to bring some materials. I will try to push it tomorrow, inshallah. We will do that. No problem. Okay. Hawa, is that okay with you? Yes or no? Can't hear you. Yes.
Yes,
Haruna.
Prof.
Yes, thank you. Sabrina, yes, thank you very much. Okay, inshallah, tomorrow I will try to bring some notes, I have some slides, and I will prepare those for you, and I'll put it on to answer some of the questions that you have. Okay, keywords and concepts I was talking to you about. You have to identify what are the keywords in that particular chapter, okay, and what are the what are the things, okay. You have to identify. And I have, as I said, I have seen many textbooks where they have boxes, okay, words, okay, to note. And then they put 1, 2, 3, 4. They don't define it. They just put those words. These are the keywords that you have to do. Keywords are called keywords because these words define the subject in that particular chapter. So you have to identify those things and put it in bold headlines so that they can see it and they can identify, most of the students, they also remember the words. They may try to memorize the words, and this is very, very important. You make the structure of the content of your thesis by you include table of contents. Table of contents you must include. Table of contents is very, very important. Table of content is not simply, I have seen many textbooks where they say chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 1, page number this, chapter 2. That is not table of contents. Okay? Table of contents must be a little bit detailed. Okay? Table of contents, chapter 1, what is the title of that chapter? Okay? Provide that chapter title, and then under chapter title, you will have headings and subheadings. List all those headings and subheadings, okay, very clearly with page numbers, so that students, when they see the table of contents, they know what they are going to learn and they are prepared for it. And if somebody is interested only in some part, they will go directly to that one, and other than that, okay. Each chapter must also have an outline. You must have an outline, and you tell them what it is that's there. Yes. At the end of each chapter, provide an overview. Provide a summary, sorry. Provide a summary, very brief summary of what this chapter has talked about and what is it that is important. So this is about structure that we are talking about. This structure is very, very important, and we have to pay special attention to the structure, without which you cannot work, okay? The third thing, or the fourth thing, is about language. I'll talk more about language later. The language must be simple. You are not writing for your colleagues, you are writing for students. And mind you, you may be trained in America or Canada or Britain or somewhere, your language is much higher than the students that you are going to address. First year students, second year students coming from Kampong, okay? Maybe they have not been exposed to English before. They know English, but not exposed as much as they would be exposing in the university. And moreover, the English is not their mother tongue. This is my major problem. I cannot write in a very simple way. I cannot write. Sometimes my son would say, Papa, you have written this book, I don't understand. I said, I didn't write it for you. Okay? He says, even my wife says, I cannot understand your articles. I said, is it published? Yeah, I read that published article. I said, then the article must be good. I have written it for those of my colleagues, not for everybody to understand. But when you are writing textbooks, you have to be very, very careful. Use very simple language. I am. You don't ask nomenclature, you ask, what is your name? Okay? So you use new words. When you use new words, it must be at appropriate times. Okay? I will talk more about it later, but the language must be accurate and precise. The language I loved most when I was a student, I liked nowadays he's dead, so nobody reads him, Bertrand Russell. Bertrand Russell, he always used very simple language. I went there, I saw this, I ate this, how are you, what is your name? But for me, alhamdulillah, it's far, far beyond. Instead of name, I say nomenclature, okay? instead of my place and my destination. uh, so those things, try to avoid those things, um, and provide examples, as much examples you can, so that the students who are familiar, you tell them what is it. So if you are talking about something, and if it is on Malaysian politics and government, use those terms which are often used. Okay, there is nothing wrong in bracket. You can say, okay, in Malay they say this. You can say it, but it has to be done. We cannot avoid doing this. Okay. Now we are talking about the layout. The layout has to be logical. It has to be consistent. The materials has to be well organized. Pictures, graphs, etc. must be accurate, appropriate, and suitably titled. About tables and graphs, I have to tell you, uh, some books, they say the table below shows. So I started looking at the under my table, because it says below. What table is below and what table is above? No, tables are neither below nor above. Okay, table on the other page, no. You provide table numbers and you say table number 1 shows this, table number 1 says this, table number 1 is analyzing this part of it. Okay, figure 1 shows this, figure 1 analyzes this, figure 1 is saying this according to figure 1 and 1. Okay, refer to figure 1, not to the figure below, figure above, figure on the other page. No, so that people look at numbers. So be careful. If you provide table numbers. Provide figures, provide figure numbers. Okay, we will talk about it. Graphics are very important, eye-catching. Can you come up with something very interesting? But the pictures, the photographs must refer to the text. Either you tell them directly or put them on the side of the text. Okay. So I have a person casting his vote in the ballot. Okay, so when I'm talking about I said, okay, elections are held and people go to vote. Okay, I don't have to say so. I put a figure there, picture. Of course, I have said what this picture is, but I don't talk about it. So people see the picture, so they understand what it is. So it is relevant to the text segment where it is. So we talk about it. The font size. This is also very important. What type of font you use? And usually it is recommended that you use size 12. It is usual. And most of the publishers, they would like to use 12 size, because 12 is very easy to remember, very easy, and it saves space. But for more comfort reading, larger size fonts are also recommended. You can use larger size fonts, and there is no problem. It makes easy reading, but make sure that it does not become very bulky. Okay. Now we are going to talk about how to organize the book, the textbook, okay? Chapter by chapter. 12, size 12, Microsoft Word, font size, minimum font size is 12. Anything less than that is not recommended. Some textbooks, Times New Roman, yes. Yes, Times New Roman is more popular, more common than others. Some textbooks, they use 14. Again, Times New Roman 14. But then when it comes to, if they have a longer quotations, then The quotations, they use 12, but in general, their writings, they use 14. It's okay, accepted. Some people use 12 Roman and the quotations are 11. It's all New Roman, okay? So depending upon what it is, but the common thing is 12. Microsoft Word, font size is 12. And this is the one which is commonly used. And they don't make any distinction between quotations and the ordinary language. They use it, okay? So, all right. Now we organize the chapter. How do we organize the chapter? Number one is introduction. Introduction. The introduction gives students an interesting preview of the content covered in the topic. Each chapter, okay? So each chapter must have an introduction. Brief, sometimes introduction is only about 100 words. In one paragraph they do it. Sometimes it's 2 paragraphs, but introduction should not reach 3,000, okay, 2,000 words. Then the whole thing is lost. So 100 to 200 words of introduction is okay, depending on the subject. Okay. Number one, this is about introduction. And in the introduction, you can also explain what you have learned in the past, in the experience, and what is expected of students to learn. This is very important. In the introduction, you will explain these things. So we have learned in the previous chapter, we have seen this and this. This chapter, we're going to go further than that. And in the introduction, you also tell us what are the topics that you are going to cover. What are the topics you are going to cover? And immediately after the introduction, and this sometimes the textbooks includes this as part of the introduction, you provide concepts, okay? Technical terms. You simplify those terms. You simplify those complicated concepts and provide definitions there also, sometimes. But most of the time, it is separate, okay? Whenever they use it. If you are using the key concepts and others, then use bold letters, italicize them, italics. You can underline the words. Nowadays, underlining is not very popular. But they use italics. Italics is okay. What else? Parentheses, yes, they can do that one. Okay. If the introduction is longer, you can include so many things. Give guidance on how to learn from the topic. Very important. We should do that. And as we have said, we have talked about it, link it with other topics that we have already studied. Okay. That is all about the introduction. This is the first thing your chapter will contain. Okay. The second thing is the learning outcomes. The learning outcomes are meant to inform the student on the specific thing that will be completed in this chapter. The learning outcomes are usually 4 or 5 learning outcomes. Sometimes even 2 learning outcomes will do. And they are put in sequence order, okay? In the order that will be learned. So we go from here, from lower to higher order thinking skills, okay? Always look into the Bloom's taxonomy, okay? And organize it. For example, if you are talking about learning outcome, we say usually by the end of this chapter, you should be able to learn, you should be able to, and then define several components of, say, elections, several components of General Assembly, okay? Several components of United Nations, okay? And then you will be able, to define, number two, you will be able to describe the concept of uh, civil society, or you will be able to define if it's a internet, okay? You will be able to define the concept of internet. Uh, you will be able to use main menus. Hmm? You will be able to use this, use that. So it's in the front, okay? You provide it, and it's very essential learning outcome. So 1, 2, 3, 4, you just say that, okay, you will do this, do this, do this, do this, and you will be able to do it. So this is learning outcome, and learning outcome is very important, is to make the students alert them. All right. So learning outcome is done. Number three is chapter objectives. The goals that you want your students to attain after reading and comprehending, okay, that chapter. So it would cover those things. The contents must always be in line with what the syllabus says and what the syllabus does, okay? Now, the third thing is body of content. That is the third thing I'm talking about. Body of content, you have to organize it very carefully, okay? And there are about five or six steps in terms of body of concepts, okay? What is it that the students want to know? His knowledge is very important. What is it that his knowledge? What do you want him to comprehend? Okay, so you have knowledge is the lowest level. On top of knowledge is comprehension. Okay? And uh, according to Bloom's taxonomy, knowledge and comprehension is at the lower level. Application also. They say, okay, you learn this, you can apply it. Okay? So they say this is at the lower level of thinking skills. Okay? So knowledge, comprehension, application. And then you go further up, analysis. Analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Evaluation is the top most level of thinking skills. So you have to be careful. You have to be careful when you are talking about these things. Are you sure that you know what you are doing? You have to cover these 6 levels, these 6 thinking skills: knowledge, comprehension, application. These are called low-level skills. Then you have analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Evaluation is the highest level. So is your body of content, does the content of your chapter, does it include all those 6 levels? Now, remember, we are talking about university textbooks. We are not talking about lower level textbooks. We are talking about university textbooks. The university textbooks, the content of the textbook must cover these 6 thinking skills: knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Okay? You have to be original, not plagiarized, of course, accurate, up up to date. We are talking about contents. We use personal pronouns, I, we, you. You will learn this, you will do this, we have done this, we will do this, okay? And provide detailed steps, calculations, and solutions for explaining concepts. How are you going to do it? In order to explain this, you have to do these things, okay? Say, for example, elections. So you say elections. What happens in elections? Elections would cover so many different, so voting. So what do you do? What are the steps involved in voting? Okay? So what is voting? Who votes? When does the voting takes place? We are talking about application. Analyze uh, who are the winners, who are the losers, and then you synthesize that, and then finally evaluate, was the election proper? Was it clear? Was it not? Was it forged? Etc. etc. So you have to do these things. And always you provide graphics information, important to illustrate. Graphic design is important, and therefore they suggest that you must hire a graphic designer so that he can design it. I remember about last 2 months ago, there was there was a workshop, and in that workshop there was a group of 6 people. They were asked, okay, tell us what the university would look like in, say, in about 20 years from today, you know, and why. So what they did was, very interestingly, they had a designer in that group. So that designer, he designed everything, you know, the cartoons and everything put there, and then put it there one by one, one by one. So when he was presenting it, they were just presenting those graphics and explaining it. After he finished, the course leader was asking, who designed these things? Please give me his name. I want to hire. So the other guy was joking, you have to pay. He said, yeah, I will pay. I don't mind. Please give me his email so that I can talk to him, so that he can help me do this. Okay. So, but whatever you do, provide references. Okay. So very good. No problem. Please go. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Provide opportunities for students to practice and apply concepts and skills. Okay? But concepts and skills must be in synchronized with learning outcomes, contents, and assessments. But make sure that they go beyond what is required. Okay? We are still talking about content. Summarize it at the end of each chapter. And summary should not carry any new information. Summary should be, it's a summary. So you summarize what is present in that chapter. You don't go beyond that one, okay? Say whatever it is and summarize it in few words. Main ideas, concepts discussed in the chapter, so that your students would retain important information. And it's better, if you are summarizing, it's better you do it in a point form. We did this point 1, point 2, point 3, and this is related to outcome number so and so. Okay. And then you can say, okay, in the next chapter, we are going to talk about something else, but that is a different thing. But summary is to summarize what is presented. Do not bring in any new information there. Whatever we have discussed in the chapter, that's the thing that we want to talk about. And we have talked about alphabetical list of keywords, technical terms, so that they can review the topic. Okay. Tables and graphs and other things that we have talked about. Each table must have a title. Each table must have a title. and the title will be on top of the table. Table 1, this is this, okay? Table 2, such and such things. Table 3, sometimes people use from 1 until 200, but that's not a good idea. So each chapter will start with the chapter number. So if you are in chapter 2, so you say table 2.1. So the first chapter, first table in that chapter. Now, remember, the table must also have source. Where did you get that table? Source has to be very, very clearly stated. So and so, this is the title, this is it. We'll talk about it later. But the source must be very clear with page numbers indicated, okay? On this page, this page. If you have taken it from, of most of the things you are taking it from others, so you must mention the source. I have taken, so source should be at the end of at the bottom of the table. On top of the table is the title with numbers. Title with number, so that in the when you are writing it, you should say table 2.1. Table 2.1 explains this. Table 2.3 talks about this, etc., etc. Okay, but others are different. Okay, source has to be at the bottom of the page immediately. No matter what method of citation you use, source must be at the bottom of the table immediately. No ifs and no buts. It has to be there. Not at the end of the page, not at the end of the chapter. No. Source has to be provided immediately. Table title on top, table source at the bottom. Figures. Figures, and figures includes the pictures also. Figures, the title of the figure should be at the bottom of the figure, not on top. This is the difference between table and figure. When you provide figures, the title of the figure should be at the bottom. And immediately after that, the source must be provided. So title and the source will be at the bottom. Figure will not carry anything. Now, some people deviate from this rule. Some publisher accept it. Some publisher would say, no, we don't. But this is the standard rule, is that tables will have titles on top, figures will have titles at the bottom. Source for both will be at the end. It will be at the bottom of the text or figure. Okay? So please remember this. Source has to be provided, and along with the source, you have to provide the page number so that people can go to the original. Then you must have references given at the end of the chapter, or at the end of the chapter, or at the end of the book. But references in the textbook, it's better that the references must be at the end of the chapter, not at the end of the book. Plagiarism should be avoided under any circumstance. Plagiarism in any form is not acceptable, is not permissible. Some people take the visual graphics from some other places and put it together. Provide the text, provide the source. Plagiarism is not allowed. Texting texts in the paragraphs, in the chapters, in the phrases, in the sentences. If you are using somebody's ideas and others, cite, provide the sources. And there's nothing wrong in borrowing, but when you borrow, you give credit to those from where you have borrowed, okay? Otherwise, you will have problems. I hope you understand the meaning of plagiarism. Plagiarism has been defined as words borrowed, 6 words borrowed consecutively from other source. 6 words without citation. That's called plagiarism. And plagiarism is not acceptable. You can paraphrase. You can paraphrase, but when you paraphrase, you have to give citations also. Paraphrasing, people may not be able to detect what you have paraphrased from where you have taken, but you have to cite, even though you have totally paraphrased, you have made it completely new, but it's the same book, same ideas. So you have to cite, source. I remember I was the graduate assistant of one very famous professor in political science, of course, and he was so nice a person, he would never give me anything to do, even though I have been hired as a graduate assistant and I was paid. One day, around 12 o'clock, he called at night. Rashid, I said, yes, Prof. I am in trouble. I need your help. I said, Prof, it's 12 o'clock. I know, but I cannot sleep. You have to help me. If you don't help me, then I cannot do anything. Please come to my house. And his house was not very far from my house. So what can I do? My professor, my teacher, my supervisor, whatever you want to call him. So I went to his house and he was waiting for me. And I went to his room. In those days, you know, we did not have computers as it is now. We used typewriters. So he was using typewriter and papers were all over the room. You know, he was writing it, made mistakes, took it out and threw it, take it out and threw it, waiting. And then I said, yes, Prof, what do you want me to do? Rashid, I have this data here, information. There is a question that how many percent, what is the question, please? Can you repeat? What is the question, my dear? How many percent? Nurul Huda, yes.
How many percent the citation could be in a textbook?
Aha, yes. That is a very good question. I have no answer. How many percent you should cite? Not much lah. Citation depends upon where you have taken it, how much you have taken it, okay? There is no percentage on that one. The things that you have borrowed must be cited. And this is the law. If you have not borrowed, if it's all your own, then you don't need to cite. For example, if you have taken a table from somewhere, okay, you cite. But you don't have to keep citing every time you are referring to that. When you are analyzing the table, you don't have to cite again and again and again the same thing. But it's a good idea to cite so that people know. Citing is very important. It makes you big. It does not make you small. You know, the more you cite, the more people say, aha, he is an honest, that he knows. Okay? Citations shows the depth of your knowledge. It's not simply the thing that you borrow. It shows the depth of your knowledge and shows how sincere you are and how nice a person you are that you cite somebody whom nobody would suspect, but you still cite. And therefore, it is very, very important that we cite. There is no hard and fast rule. When it comes to citation also, I want to tell you one thing I hate most. People quote a lot. I have a good friend of mine, he writes. Every time I ask him to write, Haruna, every time I ask him to write, he will write, I ask him to write a chapter, he will write 100 pages. He cannot write less than that. And of these 100 pages, about 60 or 70 pages would be quotations, fully cited. I wouldn't accept that. I tell him, and he's very angry. Is not my ideas are not clear? I said, your ideas are very clear, but it is full of quotations. People will get bored. People would say, you have nothing to say, you are borrowing from others. Okay, I don't mind you are borrowing from others, but if you paraphrase, and there are some problems, people ask you not to use too many quotations. Do not use too many quotations. Why? Because quotation is somebody else's language. Your language and the other's language would be different. So when I'm reading your language, there is a flow, but suddenly then you bring quotation, the flow is broken, completely gone. Okay? Yes, you want to borrow from somebody else, you can borrow it, use your own language to say what the others have said so that there is flow, but you cite him. Do not overquote. Use quotations only when it is absolutely essential, that you cannot somehow paraphrase. Then you can use quotations. Otherwise, there is no use to quote. Okay? Sometimes, of course, the definitions you have to quote. So and so defined it. This is his word. You cannot paraphrase that one. You have to quote that one. But if your whole book is full of quotations, whole article is full of quotations, then what is the purpose of me reading it? I better go and read the book that you have quoted. It is therefore advisable not to overdo it. Okay? Cite, yes. Cite what? You cite quotations if you have taken directly from there. Cite if you paraphrase. Cite it, even though it's your language, totally yours, but the idea is somebody. Cite if you have borrowed somebody's ideas without borrowing his words, okay? So if you are listening to my lecture, I said so, and then you got the idea from there, and then you are writing on that basis, you can cite, you can say something that, okay, this idea came from so and so in a lecture, so and so, no problem, cite them. My supervisor, I was telling you, he called me at 12 o'clock midnight. I went, he gave me the data. He said, please give me 2 tables. Okay. I said, okay, Prof. And in those days, we did not have computers. We had computers, but not the type that we have. We didn't have laptops. So I took the desk, the disks that he gave. I took it to the computer lab, and then he inserted the whole data into it, and then I came up with 2 tables. Around 2:30, I came. I went to his house. He was still waiting for me. Old man, 79 years old, writing. He had to wait because he cannot sleep unless he finishes his paper.
Okay, Prof. Can I ask?
Why not?
Okay, this is regarding the issue of citations just asked just now. When you look at most of the textbook, especially those coming from the Western part of the world, most of them, they have references, but no citations. And most of us also, we try to copy that, especially when we're asked to write a textbook or chapters for textbook. So what is your suggestion? Do we have to always include citations, or we can also follow those things by including the references without citations?
Haruna, when are you going to learn, huh? Okay. There are two things you must remember. I have read so many books and I know so many things. And then when I'm writing it, I do not use those books in my write-up. But those things have helped me develop my ideas. Even though I did not use them, I did not use their language, I did not use their citations, I did not use their references, I did not use the examples they give. I have created my own, everything is my own, okay? So I have not cited, there is no way of telling people that I have borrowed it from here or from there. However, I benefited from it. Therefore, at the end of the chapter, I provide bibliography. Not references. Remember this. You have to make a distinction between references and bibliography. Okay? Bibliography is much wider than the references. If I have cited the sources, if I'm using the APA style, if I have cited the sources, I will have to provide references because in APA style, it's in-text citation. We do in-text citation and therefore the whole citation, the whole reference is in the reference list. So references include only those items which are cited in the text. Okay? But in the bibliography, cited or uncited, cited of course will be included, uncited, those which I have benefited, but which I have not cited, I will also include it. I would like people to read those materials, but I read it, but I did not use it. You can use it. So these are the two different things that we have to remember. If you are using bibliography, you are telling people that you have read so many other things which is not included. I may want to benefit from it. Yes. So they put it for the benefit of the readers. If you want to benefit more, please go to such and such sources. But as for myself, I have benefited from it, but I have not used it. That is the difference. Is that clear?
Yes, Prof. But okay. Another
Yes,
question is this, Prof. So if we have cited any person or based on readings or whatever, can we just provide a bibliography without a reference? Because providing references, citing, uh, giving the details of textbook under the references and at the same time giving the details under the bibliography. So that would be like redundancies. So can we just provide a bibliography without reference, or we have to provide both?
Bibliography must include references, the things that you have referred and you have used, plus additional reading material, other additional materials which you have benefited but not used, which you want people to use it. So bibliography, therefore, is much righter. But if you are using references, then your reference must only be the citations. Why the references have to be done? Because citation is not there in this original site. If you are using APA, as I said, you only provide the in-text citation. But the entire reference is provided at the end of the chapter or at the end of the book. So if you are using APA, use chapters. If you are using bibliography, then they use the Chicago Manual of Style, and in that Chicago Manual of Style, every page has the full references given. Therefore, there is no need for it. Okay? So they provide additional bibliography so that you can benefit more from it. Is that okay with you?
Thank you, Prof.
Is that
fine.
clear?
Yeah, very clear.
Are you satisfied, my dear?
Very much.
I want to see you.
Okay.
Where are you now?
Okay, I'm in my office, Prof.
Where?
Thank you, Prof.
Okay, nice to see you. Thank you very much. Okay. So be careful about plagiarism. It's very, very important. Plagiarism is not acceptable under any circumstance that you have. All right. So please, please, please stay away from plagiarism, and we will talk more about citations and others in tomorrow's session, inshallah. And I will also try to do some pictures so that you can see exactly the locations where things are done. Okay. Any question that you have, please ask. It's 11:50.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum salam. Mohsin, where are you?
I am I'm in the office. How are you?
Mashallah. You are supposed to be working from home.
I'm staying inside the mahalla, so.
Oh, you are staying inside the mahalla, mashallah.
Yeah.
Good.
My question is
Last night.
Which article, Prof?
On Kamal Hassan.
Again. All right.
Okay.
My question is a little bit general. First question, that is, when you are a writer, well-established writer, so when you are assigned with a topic to write, which is not your specialization, or which is not an area which you have studied or researched before, but the rector, for example, asks you to write something else. So may I know what are the homework you do personally? It's a kind of personal question. What are the things you do? You make sure that before you start writing something else and before it becomes a full-fledged article, what are the processes and procedures that happening from you? I mean, what are the things you do? It's a general question, but it will be a motivation for us, which we can make a model. The second question, maybe not necessarily you answer today, if it is too short time. It's if there is a book already, textbook is there, and it is okay, but you want to add something little bit. So is there a point you write a new text? If you're writing new text, maybe the 70% will be repetition. So what are the kind of the things which will be considered as a creativity? Then it is something else. I mean, we are not wasting or repeating. We are doing the mimicking of something else, and only 20%, 30% it is the extra thing or the new thing. So how we can save the time for the good? And yeah, I think my question is clear. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much. Two questions. I did not want to talk in this class because I'm dealing with intelligent people and experienced people. And therefore, it is always dangerous. They ask questions for which I have no answers. Okay. What was the first question, Mohsin?
It's a personal thing. When you are assigned to write an article, what are the things?
Oh, okay. Somebody asked, okay, I remember now. Somebody asked me, and it has always been happening with me. They asked me to write on such and such topic, which is not in my area of interest. As far as I'm concerned, I say sorry. It's not in my area. I do not want to do it. I'm sorry, I will not do it. This is my area because I can afford. I can afford to say no because I have, alhamdulillah, enough write-ups. So I don't need, and I don't have any more promotions or anything coming in. So I can say, sorry, I don't want to write on this topic. This is not in my area of specialization. But others, they will accept. They will accept, they will say, okay, I will write on this one. But then you have to suffer. You have to go deeply into that particular area. You have to do a lot of readings. There is no excuse from that. You have to do a lot of readings, fresh readings. Okay? Not the old ones that you have read and you know what it is and you are just refreshing your memory. No, you are creating a new data, a new source of reading. And you have to read and read and read. There is no shortcut to that one. You cannot just copy from others and write it. No, there is no shortcut. You have to go deeper into it. You have to read yourself. You have to do research, and then you will be able to write something. It takes about 6 months to 9 months to write one article. if it is totally in a new area. You give me the data, you give me the information, I will write the paper in 15 days or 1 month, if I have the ready-made data. Okay, if I don't have the data, I have to create the data. I have to make the data. And that's a long-term time. And that's why people tell you that, okay, if you can write 2 articles per year or 3 articles per year, alhamdulillah, you are better off. But I write nowadays I get about 5 or 6 articles because I got the information, I got the data. All the data are on my fingertips. All I have to do is to sit down, organize the data and write it up. That is perfectly okay. But if you are doing something, somebody asks you, it is not in your area of specialization, what should I say? Say sorry. Again, area of specialization depends, okay? Now, I am in political science, okay? Somebody from sociology can ask me, yes, it is more or less related to my area, okay? History, yes, more or less related to my area. If somebody comes from psychology and say, please work on this area, that's not my area. So if it is psychology or if it is from architecture or anybody, of course, I will say no, sorry. And if obviously I cannot go beyond certain limits. If I have absolutely no idea, I wouldn't say I will do it. But if it is my area and I'm specializing in certain areas, but sociology, somebody comes in and say, Prof, this is related to your area, but it is not your area. Would you please write an article on that one? If I think I'm encouraged to do it, I'll say, okay, I will take some time. Okay, I will have to do the total fresh reading, rereading, and spending a lot of time here and there, and then inshallah, I will be able to do it. The second question is about the textbook. A textbook is already available, but this textbook does not contain about 30% of the materials which you think is important. Be gentle, go to the person who has written the textbook and tell him, brother, can I join as an author with you of this textbook because I want to add some additional materials here and there. Fine, he shouldn't have any objection to that one. And if he says, no, I don't want it, you can write. I have seen some textbooks where the whole thing is written by one person, but another person, he has some ideas about 2 or 3 chapters. So he writes 2 or 3 chapters. And in that one, they say, okay, this chapter is contributed by so-and-so. It can also happen. But the best thing is to become co-author and help each other. There's nothing wrong in that one. As a matter of fact, when it comes to textbooks, people prefer co-authored books rather than single-authored books. Okay. Did I answer your question, Brother Moten?
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have come to the end of today's session, inshallah. Tomorrow, I will take 3 hours more of your time. And I hope it is beneficial. And if I have not satisfied you, please forgive me. And if I have made mistakes in my presentation, may Allah forgive me for that one. وبالله التوفيق والهداية. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
Waalaikumsalam, Prof. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much.